In this video, we'll be learning about the vertical line test. The vertical line test is a graphical test for determining whether or not a given curve represents a function. The rule is, if we're given a curve, let's say I'm given the following curve, I'll make a quick sketch of. Let's say we're given a curve looking something like this. The vertical line test allows us to determine whether or not this curve can be obtained with an equation looking like y is equal to f of x. In other words, the vertical line test allows us to determine whether or not this curve represents a function. The way we do this is, along the length of the curve, if we can draw vertical lines cutting this curve, so long as the vertical line only cuts the curve once, at any point, then the curve is a function. Looking at this curve, we can see right away that it is not a function. The reason for this is because I can see right away that if I draw this vertical line here, then the vertical line cuts the curve twice. That means it's not a function. And we can do this again along the curve at this point. It cuts the curve in 2 points again. The curve, therefore, does not represent a function. The rule for the vertical line test can be summarized here. A curve represents a function if we can draw a vertical line anywhere along its length and the line cuts the curve no more than once. Let's see how this works with a few more examples. Let's say we're given this well-known graph here. It's a circle. And we are asked whether or not this is a function of x. Well, again, the way we would do this is to see whether or not we can draw a vertical line which cuts the curve in 2 or more points. Here we can see right away, if we draw a vertical line here, it cuts the circle in 2 points. This means that it is not a function. In fact, to draw this circle, we would need 2 functions. Let's look at another example. Again, we ask ourselves whether or not this curve represents a function of x. Once again, we're going to use the vertical line test. And we're going to see whether or not we can draw a vertical line anywhere along this curve's length, which cuts the curve more than once. Going from left to right, I can see that no matter where I draw a vertical line, it only cuts the curve once. Each and every single time, the vertical line only cuts the curve once. That means that this is a function. And this curve can be represented by a function y is equal to f of x. Let's look at one more example. Again, we ask ourselves whether or not this curve is a function. Using the vertical line test, let's see if we can draw a vertical line which cuts the curve more than once. Looking at this, we can see right away, if we draw a vertical line here, the vertical line cuts the curve in 2 points. We can conclude right away and say that it is not a function. And there we go. We've just seen how to use the vertical line test to determine whether or not a curve represents a function.